Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and today back with the full review of this, the Phoibos PY006B Automatic Submariner Homage. Now I did an unboxing and initial impressions of this about 10 days ago, and I must admit I was impressed. Build quality looked great and an amazing set of specifications for the price. But that price is perilously close to the Seiko SKX and the Orient Ray 2. Let's flip the camera and get into today's full review of the Phoibos. So I've been out and about with this watch over the last 2 weeks. Took it to work with me, took it to school with me, took it to the beach with me. Generally enjoying the Phoibos day to day. Is a very comfortable watch and I think looks a lot more expensive than the price tag suggests. So I thought I'd start today with some dimensions and specifications before moving on to an assessment of the Miyota movement that's in this particular watch. I've had a watch check app running on it for a fortnight now, and then a few more subjective impressions how I've got on with the watch over the last 2 weeks of ownership. I've been wearing it every single day since I did the unboxing, and I must admit I've really enjoyed this watch. I think it wears very well. The classic Submariner Homage dimensions really suit me, and that dial, bezel, hands and indices really pops in that rich dark blue colour. So dimension wise, unlike the slightly larger 42mm quartz model, this one pretty much aping the classic Submariner playbook here. 40mm diameter, 43 if you include the nicely polished crown guards and screw down crown there, 20mm lug width tapering to 18mm at the bracelet. Now this one a little bit thick here at 14mm. The case itself takes up a lot of those mils, but it does wear rather nicely. A nice curve on the case, and the center link of the end link also protruding slightly and pointing down, encouraging a really nice fit on the wrist. 165 grams. Now that is a fair amount of heft from a Submariner Homage, but it never really feels like it weighs all that much. I think the case curvature really helping it sit nicely on the wrist. Now, my favorite feature of this watch has got to be the dial, the hands, the indices and the bezel insert. Look at the sunburst. Just gorgeous during the day in high light conditions, and the bezel action, outstanding for a watch at this price. A little bit stiff, but that's good I think. A really nice positive click. Just gorgeous there. Now in low light conditions it goes really dark black, also very, very appealing. Sapphire glass, another big win for the Phoibos. I'm a bit of a klutz. Sapphire glass is really a minimum for me. Now bring it in a little closer for an up close on the dial there. Those indices have got a real depth to them. Applied indices give the whole thing a bit of presence on the wrist. Now classic Mercedes hands, these ones beveled, so even they have a bit of a 3D effect. Again, all just combining to make the watch look a lot more expensive than the $169 price would suggest. Another nice little touch there, the screw down crown has got the Phoibos P on it, and as I mentioned, those polished crown guards, really quite interesting, go nicely with the brushed finish on the case. Another look at that dial. I think that just is so pretty. Now I've chosen the blue one. There's also a green model. I believe Maverick Watch Reviews, he looks at the blue one, but Watch Addict looks at the black one, and I gotta say the black one looks a little bit ordinary when compared to the blue one. If I was you, I'd be looking at the blue or green model if you don't mind a bit of colour on your wrist. I think those two models pop in a way that the black one doesn't. So the bracelet, one of the strong points of this watch, there is a little bit of flex, but it's not too noticeable when it's on the wrist. I've been using and abusing this one for a fortnight now. I'm a bit of a klutz with my watches, as I mentioned, so it's picked up a few battle scars along the way, but really nice, very consistent brushed finish on this. And the brushing on the end links there pretty much matches the brushing on the lug shoulders, which is always nice to see on a watch. Solid end links. I took the bracelet off. I'll pop up a pic on screen now. Always nice to see a watch with solid end links at this price point. Now I did have difficulties getting the bracelet off initially. So what I did was I replaced the spring bars with more substantial ones that I had lying around the house. If you're going to keep this watch for any duration of time, if you're going to give it a hard life, or if you're going to have the bracelet on and off a number of times, I would also be swapping out those for more substantial end links. Well worth another couple of dollars, I think, investment, considering the low purchase price of the watch. Another nice little detail on this watch is that laser etched case back. Picture of the shark on this one. They've gone for an octopus on some of their other models, so slightly inconsistent, but very nice at this price point to see that. Phoibos automatic divers 300 meters and advertising the sapphire crystal. Few scratches on the clasp after a fortnight of use, pretty much as you'd expect. Again, nothing spectacular, but a nice little laser etching logo there a couple of times, and the Phoibos, and it's a double lock, so I've had no problems with security of the watch. This is stamped steel, again quite ordinary, but pretty much in keeping with the price point of the watch. So on to the movement. Obviously a big consideration if you're spending the extra money from the quartz model, you want to know what you're getting. And what you're getting here is a fairly basic entry-level specification Miyota. Miyota are owned by Citizen, made in Japan. This one is as I said, fairly standard 3 Hz movement, so 21,600 beats per hour. That equates to 6 ticks per second. Got a tolerance of minus 20 seconds to plus 40 seconds a day, and a power reserve of 42 hours. So I started a watch check app on my phone on this one the day I got it, ran it for a week, then reset it and started again. And as you can see, this one running at, well, an inconsistent plus 20 a day, average plus 20 a day, but a little bit all over the place. Can't really work out whether that's due to temperature or position or so on, but I guess the average is still well within that minus 20 to plus 40 tolerance stated for the movement. When you buy an entry-level watch and you get one of these basic movements in it, you're hoping that you hit the jackpot and you get one that's bang on. Chances of that happening though are pretty minimal. As long as you get one that's within tolerances, then that's pretty much what you can expect at this price point and at this end of the automatic movement market. So how does it wear? Well, I think that's one of this watch's strengths. It wears really, really nicely. No credit to Phoibos, all credit to Rolex, because these dimensions really are a sweet spot for me. 7-inch wrist I have, the 40mm diameter sits pretty sweetly, and those nice center links dropping down the bracelet onto the wrist beautifully. Wears very well, disguises its considerable bulk, I think. As I said, it's quite thick, so 14mm there, it does sit proud on the wrist, but I've had no problems with it slipping it under shirt cuffs and so on over the last fortnight. So then, what about some criticisms? Surely it's not all sweetness and light with the Phoibos. Well, I've only got a couple of minor gripes really with the watch. The finishing on the case and the bracelet, perhaps not quite as good as the quartz model, which is only $99, so it's a little bit cheaper. There is, as you can see there, a bit of a gap in the font between the R, the apostrophe, and the S of divers. Hold on, I'll zoom in for a close-up. Yeah, there you are. It's betraying its Chinese origins when it effectively has a typo on the dial. Not something that's going to bug you long term, but if you're OCD, perhaps look elsewhere. So the movement hand winds, and it's quite a nice, slightly gritty, but perfectly easy wind. It doesn't hack though, and once you pop that crown out, just feels a little bit wobbly on the crown stem. So again, another minor criticism there. I also find the lume slightly frustrating. Its C1 Superluminova gives off a lovely milky cobalt blue colour, but never quite as bright as you want it to be. It does last throughout the night, so no major complaint, but never quite with the intensity that you would be hoping for. But probably my biggest complaint overall with this watch is that it's just a little bit bland. It doesn't have any character of its own. The Phoibos in the full block capital font there. They're missing a trick, I think, by not having a logo on the dial. I think Phoibos has realised this and it's something they're going to work on in future models, but just a little bit bland. Squales show that you can have an homage watch with a little bit of its own character. Talking of squales, I don't think this one is a million miles away from the 1545. This one costs $169, the Squally costs $550, and that's 3 times the price. But I don't think you're getting 3 times the watch. The movement is obviously the biggest difference. This is a base level Miyota. The Squally features an ETA 2824 too, but not a million miles away, I don't think, between the two watches. The most obvious competition that this watch faces is the Seiko SKX and the Orient Ray 2. Now this one blows the others out the water in terms of specifications, sapphire crystal, and a really rock solid bracelet, something that you can't say about the Orient and the Seiko, but as I said, it's a little bit bland. It doesn't have a lot of character or personality of its own. Absolutely, I've really enjoyed wearing it. It's comfortable, it looks good, and the specifications for this price are pretty incredible. But it's a little bit bland, doesn't have a lot of character of its own. It's up to you to decide whether those specifications are enough to justify buying a Phoibos over an SKX or an Orient Ray, which do have a lot more character. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.